Which defenses should you target and who should you avoid for week 17 of the NFL season? We'll go over all of that in this week's episode of Pick 3 DST. It's the fantasy football finals and we are on the road here. Christmas Eve. We got to make sure that you get your picks in. As a reminder, these are not my full weekly DST rankings. If you want to check those out, you can click the link below, which will take you to my full article, which I'll update as the week goes on when we get weather updates and injury reports and things of that nature. We're going to start, as always, with our accountability check. We had a pretty good week in the article. We got 6 of the top 10 defenses correctly picked. Again, the video picks were not as good. We did hit on our fade of the week. The Arizona Cardinals got -1 points against the Carolina Panthers, so we like that pick. Our solid pick, Philadelphia Eagles, lost a huge game and come from behind way, and that was a bummer for them, but they did score 8 points, so that put them inside the top 10, so that's okay for a solid pick. Our stud defense, the Denver Broncos, had a good first half, but really dropped the ball and put up a dud against the Los Angeles Chargers. And then our sleeper pick, the Indianapolis Colts, were up 38-7 and sitting on 15 fantasy points with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, only to totally let their foot off the gas, have the Titans score 23 unanswered points, and they put up just 6 fantasy points, so kind of usable, but just a super letdown performance. So we will hope to get less infuriating picks this week. My sleeper defense for the week is the Dallas Cowboys. Consensus has them 25th, and I have them up at 8th on the week. Now, obviously, a lot of this, actually all of this, has to do with the health of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion against the Commanders, and so I really don't think that he is going to play this week against the Cowboys. So far, only 3 players who've suffered a concussion on Sunday this year have come back to play on Sunday of the next week. The Eagles don't really need this game. It's for playoff seeding, but they are locked in the playoffs. You know they want Hurts healthy for the playoffs, so I don't think they're going to rush Jalen Hurts back, and so this ranking is reflecting the fact that I think the Eagles are going to be going with Kenny Pickett under center. That's going to lead to a lot of turnovers and some short field positions, and I think a pretty solid game overall for the Dallas defense. Now, obviously, Dallas has had a pretty soft schedule over the last few weeks. However, over the last 6 weeks, they rank 4th in pass rush productivity rate. They rank 8th in the NFL in opponent scoring rate, and they rank 8th in explosive play rate allowed. So those are really good rankings for the defense. I just think that with Kenny Pickett under center, I'm happy to play a Cowboys defense. Divisional game, you know they're going to come out and give it their best shot, and so I think they could sneak into the top 10 here with a decent showing. Before I get to my solid defense of the week, pause this video, comment below, let me know which defense you're playing this week, or ask me any start-sit questions, and I'll get to those as the week goes on. My solid defense of the week is the Seattle Seahawks. Consensus has them at 6th, but they are my top-ranked defense on the week. Over the last 6 weeks, Seattle has averaged 8.3 fantasy points per game. They come into this in a must-win spot against the Bears if the Seahawks really want to stake their claim to a playoff spot. It's week 17. Motivation is such a huge part in how you're going to be ranking teams this week. We don't know which teams are going to come in with a lot of motivation or which players are going to play through normal bumps and bruises when they have nothing important on the line. We know the Seahawks need this game, and so I really like that we know for sure that we're going to get their best effort against a Bears offense that has given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last month and lost their starting left tackle and left guard last Sunday. Again, the Bears don't have anything to play for, so we're not sure they're going to rush those guys back on Sunday. So the Bears down offensive starters on the offensive line against a Seattle defense that over the last 6 weeks ranks 2nd in the NFL in opponent scoring rate and 6th in EPA per play is something that I really like right now. So again, I know that a lot of places have them a little bit lower, and maybe 1st is really high right now, but I think that's just reflecting the fact that I feel pretty confident about the Seahawks putting together a solid showing here. Even if they don't finish as the top defense, I think a top 5 scoring day from them is pretty safe for us to assume. My stud defense for the week is the Miami Dolphins. Consensus has them 3rd, and I have them 3rd. Now, the Dolphins defense has not played really great of late. Over the last 6 weeks, they're averaging 5.5 fantasy points per game, which is actually up on their season average, but it's still not a defense you'd think we would be trusting in the fantasy football finals. However, they get a great matchup against the Cleveland Browns offense that's going to be starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback. Again, this is a Browns offense that over the last month has given up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses, and I don't really see that changing this week. We just saw a pretty mediocre Bengals defense score 18 fantasy points against the Browns last week, and so I think maybe not getting 18 points from the Dolphins, but getting a solid double-digit score from the Dolphins makes a lot of sense considering over the last 6 weeks, the Dolphins ranked 12th in pass rush productivity rate, and they rank 14th in EPA per play, so they're just outside of the top 10 in those rankings. And as we said for some of the other defenses in this video, the Dolphins have an outside shot at the playoffs. We know they're coming and giving their best effort. We know they have something to play for, while the Browns don't have anything to play for. So I really like Miami in this spot this week. The defense I am fading for week 17 of the NFL season is the Minnesota Vikings. Consensus has them at 7th, and I have them down at 19th on the year. Now, I have played the Vikings all year long. I've had them as my main defense all season in my home league, but they are just in a really bad matchup here against a Packers offense that gives up the second fewest fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last 2 months. Now the Vikings do average 7.3 fantasy points per game over the last 6 weeks. However, they have only one game in that stretch where they've scored over 8 points. So they're basically living in the 6-point to 8-point range, and now they have one of the worst matchups that you can get. So I think it's pretty likely we could see them get 4 points, 5 points, maybe 6 points. And so even if they get 6 points, that's not usually a top 10 defense. So I can't really see them finishing in the top 10, even if things were going really well for them, but they have been slipping a little bit in some regards as well. They rank 23rd in the NFL in pass rush productivity rate over the last 6 weeks, and 15th in opponent scoring rate. Those are down from where they've been all season, and so this is a Vikings defense that's not really as good as they were the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season in a really bad matchup, and so I just don't love playing them here. I'd be looking to find another defense if I could. That's going to do it for this video and this season of Pick 3 DST. Thank you for hanging out with me every single week as I gave you these defenses. I'll be back next season to do it again. As a reminder, click that link below to get the full article, which I'll update as the week goes on. And like and subscribe to get all of our content over here at NBC Sports. We will continue with all the other sports, and I will be back for fantasy baseball season to give you more weekly videos, so make sure you check me out there. Good luck in the fantasy football finals. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next season.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.